For those of you that don't know, my name is Jeff Englert, and probably saw me, going through this process about 5 months ago. Continue to work on it on this side and trying to find something that we feel we can make work and that would be acceptable to the community. I did grow up in Kechi to the age of 15. Family and I moved back out to this area at 53rd and Oliver about 7 years ago. I've worked in commercial real estate coming up on 24 years now, been more on the development side for the past 8 or so. And looking at this site here on Oliver, north of 61st Street, just south of the gas station there. See if they're at Turtle Creek. We felt we wanted to put a name on it. Not married to that or anything like that. That's what we came up with for now. So if anyone's curious why that says Turtle Creek. Before, when we first proposed this, it started off with just looking to do a duplex development. Started morphing through the process of it to include some commercial frontage there. As I'm sure you know, did not pass zoning in order to get the multifamily zoning there. After a handful of conversations with different people, decided to continue to work on this, see what we can do. One idea that was brought up to me was patio home development instead of any kind of multifamily development. Patio home development, they're single family homes that are typically owner occupied on their own lots. The big difference between a patio home and a traditional single family residential is that they're usually smaller footprint on smaller lots, and they're known to be low maintenance or no maintenance homes, meaning that HOA takes care of lawn care, snow removal, exterior maintenance, trash, stuff like that. So obviously that typically caters to empty nester seniors that either don't want to or can't take care of the maintenance anymore, and they just need a smaller footprint after kids have moved out. So that's typically what you see when on patio home development. That would take up a little over half of the development side, and the other part frontage. We are looking to do commercial space there and round up about 14,000 square feet in 2 buildings, about 8,000, 6,000 square foot building. And it will be divided down to accommodate probably about 8 businesses. It could end up being 2 businesses if they're larger tenants. Just kind of depends on where the demand is. And then the third part of it is an art park. And we'll show on the site plan here. It doesn't actually specifically state the art park there, but it'd be between the 2 commercial buildings. We have met with Roland and Karen Card. They agreed to donate 2 statues to the park there itself. And we'll have some more detail on exactly kind of what we're thinking there. But on that part, more than anything, I'm very open to what the community wants to do.
Now, can you point to where
I'm sorry.
What's right up there?
That art park would be this area right here.
So that's Oliver there.
I'm sorry, yes. I've been looking through so long, I just assume everyone else does. Yeah, this is all over here.
Okay.
And here's the gas station and the car wash up here. One thing to point out is, one thing that was mentioned before was traffic in and out and safety for people on the sidewalk. We did take it down to 2 curb cuts instead of 3, just to help with the points of ingress and egress there. Just because it won't require us to have a third one.
Is that 25 points?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Is that 25?
It is 25. I've got one later here. I've been playing with it some more, making sure that we meet the requirements for lots on these, and I think it'll actually be 23 or less.
Where does that house line there's a row of trees, that little creek?
The row of trees is right here.
No, I'm talking about on the east side of Oliver. Just there's the sidewalk. There's the playhouse. There's the flower greenhouse, and then
so that's down.
That would be down here. The flower place. This is a residence right here.
Right. So where does that little creek flow?
Right back. It's back in here.
Oh, okay.
There's a little bridge on the sidewalk there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
That's south of the-
right around here somewhere.
So
yeah.
where is the jump start? Where's that at?
The jump starts up here, at the top here.
And you're gonna put, there's 23 or patio homes.
Correct, that's roughly what we're looking at, yeah.
It seems like a lot of houses in a little tiny spot.
Will that be all concrete yards, or are they gonna have grass?
Oh, no, it'll be grass. A lot of times what I've seen on these patio homes, we've never done patio home development, so I did a lot of research into them. A lot of times, patio homes, from what I went and looked around town, I mean, they're only 6 feet apart, the homes themselves. A lot of times they'll have rock in between them, because you can't maintain 6 feet of grass. But, no, there's definitely front yards. I mean, these are usually very well landscaped.
What are you looking at as far as price point?
That is, and I'll have some examples of it here. We have not determined exactly. It'll really kind of depend on a number of things, and they can also be customized too. So I mean, my thought is there'll be different standard packages offered when it comes to finish and everything like that. Since we have no intention of going through and building 23 of these the first day. It'll be built over time in phases, because the last thing I want is sit there with 20 vacant homes. So I mean, it will be built. My best guess would be is we build 2 or 3 at a time. Some speculative, some more custom build for individuals.
Will they have room for garages?
Yes, yeah, I have the floor plans and everything here. Well, we'll get into the more details here. Courtyard, sort of quick, that's the patio homes. Here's kind of a breakdown. We've been planning on using maybe at least 2 different floor plans for the patio homes. One is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and one is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Kind of flexible open space. They're set to actually have 2-car garages, actually more likely oversized garages for the excess storage. 0-level entry, walk-in closets, enclosed sunrooms, built-in storm shelter, safe rooms, because they already be slab on grade without basements. And as mentioned, there'll be a low maintenance community, lawn care, snow removal, trash and exterior maintenance handled by the HOA. And then here are the floor plans we've been using. I mean, of course, none of these are set in stone. We went back and forth with our architect on a couple of these different floor plans, but this is kind of what we're looking at for now. I know we'll have at least 2 different floor plans. I was really surprised most of the patio homes are 2 bedrooms. You don't see as many 3 bedrooms as I expect. Understandably, I mean, like I said, they're normally almost always empty nesters, seniors, but adding one more bedroom to a house is not expensive. So I almost geared doing 2 more 3 bedrooms. I mean, storage, craft room, whatever. Then,
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't cost much to build another bedroom on a house.
Are these pretty comparable to what went in at 53rd in Oliver?
No, that's very different. That's a low-income senior housing development, and when I say low income, it's because they have received special incentives, and in order to get those, I know they have low-income housing tax credits, and there's other ones. Basically, they are restricted on the rents they can charge, and those are all rentals, not for sale. Rents they can charge and the income level of the tenants. Yeah, it's a very different product.
Of course, I asked that right before I see these pictures.
Absolutely. Yeah, these are, when, like I said, I went around, I drove probably 10, 12 different patio home communities in town. These are the 3 that either I like the most or I thought were most comparable. The first one over there, that's River Trail, that's being built over in Riverside now next to Sims Golf Course. They have 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square foot homes. Actually, they have a variety of layouts, but this is the one I put on here. They're at the higher end at $375,000 on The second one, this is an existing one over in Bel Air in Central Park, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,300 square foot, and just over 300,000. That's like what the one was for sale, up until like a month or so ago. And the third one is in Park City, 1,450 square foot home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, at 253,000. So you can see that the price range really kind of vary. You know, you've got the one in Park City that is larger than the one in Bel Air, and more bedrooms, about $50,000 less. My goal and my guess is we're going to be somewhere below that 300 range. There's other ones you go out, they're building out by 29th Greenwich at about $400,000 or $500,000 patio homes, which that seems crazy to me. But that's kind of where we're seeing the market at. On the commercial side, plan is, as mentioned, for 2 buildings, round numbers, 8,000 and 6,000 square foot buildings. They would be built most likely at 2 separate times. Probably not plan to start construction on one until had some tenants lined up for it. I mean, the first thing we would do is start working before we move dirt on anything. Would be trying to pre-lease some of the commercial space. And then just and then build those as we find the tenants. They'll be laid out to go as low as 2,000 square foot suites. Obviously, we'd like to do larger tenants if possible. Planning on metal buildings with stone or wood facades, glass storefronts. And then it's kind of some kind of tenants. Planning to go off something that will fit Kechi well or lacking services. I mean, more restaurants, it would definitely be ideal. Here's just some examples of kind of what we're thinking. I mean, one of mine is Richard Wood Shop, another one. The top 3 are kind of, you know, the kind of style of what I'm leaning towards. But those are all metal buildings with different facades on the front there. This bottom 2 I'm not as big a fan of, but just more as a kind of idea of what we're planning to do. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of metal buildings from a landlord standpoint. They get beat up pretty easy, but they're great for flexibility. They're great if it is something like a wood commercial construction. And building those, you're able to keep costs down lower, which is able to accommodate the type of a startup or for them. Okay, and then as mentioned, the art park, kind of in the center of the development there. I think that's going to be about a half-acre site. As mentioned, met with the Cards and discussed. They were very excited about the idea, but I know it's been discussed online. There's nothing said that it's going to be a card art park only. I mean, we're definitely open. Like I said, more than anything, I was curious to what the community wanted, ideas, thoughts, and I definitely use help trying to plan on something like that because that's not in my expertise. But what we foresee is kind of a sculpture park throughout there. I'm thinking murals painted on the side of the commercial buildings, since those will be on each end of the park there. Open green space, potential to put outdoor seating on the commercial buildings. If we have a restaurant going there, I think it'd be great to have that outdoor seating right on that park area there. One thing that, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns on this here yet, and most of the stuff I can go either way of. This would be a public park that's owned by the city, or if we own it privately. I have no problem owning it privately. I mean, the pros and cons of each. You know, if the city owns it, obviously they control it and everything, but they also have the cost of maintenance of it. If we continue to own it, then the thing I like is that if we wanted to be able to put outdoor seating out there from a restaurant, then we have more flexibility there. We have the cost to maintain it, but I'm not overly concerned about that. I see it kind of as on a much smaller scale, like Bradley Fair. They have their outdoor areas there where people go, hang out. About half people have had their senior pictures or prom pictures taken there. It's used by the public, but it's privately owned. And the same thing when it comes down to the amenities and the cost of those and the cost of those amenities. A lot of that's up in the air, and I'm open on what all would be included and also how it's funded. I mean, so it's something I'm sure we'll figure out. One thing I thought would be potentially beneficial if it was publicly owned by the city is I bet there's grants out there to create parks like these in order for the cost of it. But I'm not set one way or the other. All right, zoning for the site. Just kind of a history of it. It's presently zoned C3 general commercial. Has been for, what's that, about almost 8 years now. Current owner bought it with the intent of building an event venue there. That did not work out for one reason or another. They've had it available for sale for about 5 years now, I believe. Before that, it was actually zoned R1A, which is the patio home development zoning that we're going for. A mixture of that and multifamily. And there was that from 2008-16 from what I gather, and prior to that, it was zoned C3 before that, so it's kind of gone back and forth, and just obviously nothing's ever actually happened there. I'm not sure why it got zoned from C3 to patio home zoning, and nothing ever happened. But we do know.
2008
Yep.
is what happened.
Oh, that's actually a good point. Yeah, that's actually very good. But
They had it all planned out and so forth, and
I didn't even put that 2 and 2 together on that one. Yep, 2005. You're right. But I mean, you think it's not that long, it still would have been. I mean, there's been plenty built since '08. I mean, but it's kind of funny that they rezoned it in '08. Yeah. Anyway, what we have requested now is rezoned to R1A single family 0 lot line with the contingency that the zoning is not implemented until the site has been replatted to basically create separate lots on the front along Oliver that will remain C3. And the reason we're doing it this way is to basically ensure to the community that we intend to do the commercial out there. Before we more approach, okay, well, we need to rezone it and then we can pull this back afterwards. But basically, if this zoning were to pass now the way we have proposed it, nothing would be able to happen until we replat it, separating off that front lots to create those for commercial use. So basically, we'd have to go through the rezoning, and then it would be months of going through the replatting before we can do anything. And this kind of lays out roughly what that would look like on the rezoning. As it stated in our proposed rezoning there, that there would be minimum requirements for what's maintained for C3 general commercial, and then the remaining would be that R1A. Like I said, this is just kind of a rough idea of what it was like. And also put on there too what the zoning was before C3, and as you can see, it was that all of that was at that R1A, plus along with some multifamily, that green part up next to the car wash there. Well, we went through this rezoning process before. I kind of went back and relisted out what the issues were and kind of how we've tried to overcome those issues. The first and foremost was desire not to add multifamily, whether it be in Kechi in general and this site in particular, because it didn't fit the Kechi community, the crime that can come along with that, what it can do to property values, and the high turnover of residents when you have rental housing. Well, this removed all multifamily, replaced it with single-family patio homes. The site should be used for the Arts and Business District. I completely get that. Developing that entire site for commercial, if I thought it was feasible, if I thought there was a possibility, but we would have no problem doing commercial development. We do commercial and residential development. I just don't see how you can attract enough tenants, users to develop that entire site. And that's, I feel this is a very good compromise of making the frontage the commercial and really building, the first new buildings in the Arts and Business District that built in, I think it's over 12 years now, along with the park that really goes along with that Arts and Business District. The additional traffic from new development there, in reality, C3 zoning that it is currently could easily cause more traffic than our new proposed zoning. I mean, whether it be a grocery store or whatever that went there, definitely have more traffic, something like this. The problem is there's not demand for to build a new grocery store up here. And then, as I said, for the safety, we cut down from 3 curb cuts to 2. And then it was brought up before about the water and sewer system. I double checked this like 3 times with the city. They said that's not an issue. The sewer system issue is separate from this because this is on, I guess there's 3 different systems that run through Kechi, and this was something being developed here was already planned in that system, and it's not on the system that may have the issues. Not on it. Expert on that. That's what I was told. So, and as I mentioned, been kind of playing with this a little bit more than anything, ensuring that we hit all the requirements on the lots. This is my design, not an architect's design, but I think it's pretty darn close to what we could do and what would work. You'll notice here that this goes down to, I believe, 23 patio home lots here. I've had a couple ones. I've had some where I've taken it down to 21, 22. So I don't expect to increase. In all honesty, if I can make numbers work and decrease the number of lots, I'm going to do it. I mean, just more green space. It's just until really truly digging into the numbers, don't really know. But I want to mine it maybe 1 or 2 more to have more open space there.
The area back behind where all the trees are and so forth,
That's going to remain as it is. That's in a reserve. So even if we wanted to, which we don't, we wouldn't be allowed to go through and tear that apart. Same thing with the drainage easement there. That's how it's platted with that drainage easement there.
So in your original plan, you proposed having a trail that connected up to the park, but it appears that you've taken that out.
I've taken that out. I mean, I proposed it. It was an idea.
Okay.
People didn't seem to like the idea. So, I mean, more thing, we didn't really see from us personally any form of benefit of it. We thought the community would see a benefit. That's not what I heard back. So, yeah, we took that out.
So realistically, Kechi's not a big town
I understand.
and a big, huge retail business draw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a hard time keeping the strip center up there
Mm-hmm.
full. Who would go in those 2 in a realistic world?
In a realistic world, I think there are small arts and crafts related business working on the garage now that I think there would be interested, something like that. I try not to think too much on the theory of build it and they will come type of thing, but I think there is some truth behind that. I commented here that there hasn't been a building built in the arts district business for over 12 years. Well, it's a little bit of chicken or egg. Do you have to build it or come? I mean, we're not going to sit there and build them up and hope they come, but if they are marketed appropriately, to be built, and you get them out there, you get the right people, I think you will find some. I feel very fairly confident that you can find some former restaurants going there too. I do think being on the park there, being on right on there on Oliver, I think you probably get a restaurant there.
Because I honestly don't know how that store stays in business.
The convenience store.
It's the commuters.
Yeah.
That it's not like,
No, I know. Yeah, that's actually another of my questions, because I know that the first time you presented, you were willing to look at commercial space at that time if you could market it and if you could find.
Mm-hmm.
So here a few months later, you're like, I'm totally committed into doing the commercial. But
We-
the reality is, though, here in Kechi,
Mm-hmm.
is I think one of the reasons things haven't built up here, there's not traffic volume.
Yep.
And so now you're willing to commit into building commercial space. Well, the traffic volume hasn't changed.
Well, as mentioned, we're not going to build it and then have them come. Now, and this is a common thing in retail development is where you go through there and you market it, you pre-lease it, and then you pre-lease 50% of it is the standard, and then you build it. So that would be our plan, and I mean, I'm not a patient person by nature, but so it may have to sit longer than I'd like in order for we're able to build it. At the same time, too, the type of metal buildings, that's a nice thing too, is they're a lot less expensive to build, and you're not going through the options with all the HVAC and plumbing when you're building it out either. Even if we have 10 or 50% of it, and we build that, and with that other 50% sits vacant for a couple of years, I don't think the holding cost is going to kill you, basically. I mean, now if you go through and you build something, you see it at 21st and Greenwich, yes, it will. I mean,
But will it, if you have like 50% capacity or
Pre-lease.
tenants, whatever, and the other stuff sits vacant for a couple of years, is that kind of a killjoy to those businesses that are in there? I mean, in the sense that the traffic's not coming to.
It definitely doesn't help them. I mean, I guess it depends on their business if they're able to pull in their customers themselves and everything too. I mean, yeah, that's definitely not an ideal situation for anyone.
Because in retail, you kind of want to build where everybody's at.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of vacant buildings that have already been built and unoccupied for a long time, commercial space. Nobody's going in there, and they're on well-trafficked spots, not in Kechi. So I think that has to be thought about as well. And really, and you're also showing, if I'm interpreting this correctly, you're showing you want to put in a commercial strip, let's say, and then put patio homes behind that?
That is a common thing you see where you have the commercial up front, you have some form of residential behind it.
See, I don't know. I'm sure there are people that are going to go for that, but that would be a real deterrent for me. And you're mixing apples and oranges in a lot of instances, and you.
Mixed-use
I don't think that's Kechi.
Mixed-use development is becoming more and more common where one thing you hear about a lot these days is walkability. Am I able to walk over to the shops, to the restaurant over there, like that. So it's become a more common scenario.
Okay. So, I haven't heard you mention anything about 55 plus. There's still, I don't get your take on it because there's plenty of them out there. There's, if it was illegal or if it was whatever, then there wouldn't be tons of them out there.
I've never looked into, it's a little different when you're leasing versus selling. So I think what you have to do in there is end up probably putting deed restrictions on them. It's just something I've never looked into on a
Because Estancia is that way. Have you looked at Estancia out west?
No, I'm not familiar with that now. Oh, I know what you're talking about, yes.
And those price points are a lot higher.
And
But
they sell it as 55 and over?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
I mean, can they do that? Is that?
Sure they can.
I thought about that because my initial thought is like, well, no, you can't have restrictions. Like, well, no, I think you can,
Yeah.
and so it's not something I've ever looked into or familiar with yet.
Because I think more people would be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I think she's got a point as far as, this is definitely not something Kechi has done. We're getting 200 plus new patio homes north. There's like you said, there's the Bel Air, 53rd and Oliver, whether it's low income or whatever it is, there's a ton of them going on there. So my biggest question is, why do we want to put housing on Oliver in the arts and business?
Well, we're putting it off Oliver. We're putting the commercial on Oliver. If there was,
it's there on Oliver. You have to. If I live in there, I gotta go. I gotta turn
Okay.
in Oliver and get to my house.
the problem is that there's just talks about not enough demand to fill this commercial space. Well, there's definitely not demand to fill up, 5 acres once you take out the reserve and everything enough commercial space. So it's very difficult to say that you can do it all commercial when there's not the demand there.
I'd rather have the housing in the commercial.
So the homes will be leased, is that?
No, they'll be sold.
Oh, okay.
So I have a couple questions for you.
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
So if the zoning is approved for R1A to build the patio homes, are you open to having different exterior finishes, looks, paint colors, so that it doesn't look like you've just put in a cloned community?
I'm not only open, I would do that. I mean, I agree, I don't like the, just carbon copy nonstop and stuff. The one I really like out of the ones that I had up on the screen earlier is the one down in Riverside, River Trail, I think is the name of it. There's a lot of different looks there, but they all go well together too.
So another question I have is looking at our 2040 comprehensive plan, which ties in with the Arts and Business District Master Plan. And this is obviously long term. This is 2040 plan. In the economic development, it does state that the goals and objectives are to build a strong and diverse local economy that attracts local retail, service, and office businesses, and promotes arts, crafts, and other small enterprise businesses. And that whatever is built in the district, that it would support programs and policies which serve the arts and business district and commercial interchanges as the major employment and business areas. And that it would also preserve sufficient buildable land for commercial and industrial uses in established or designated areas. And that it would support existing and develop new activities and special events to support business and economic activity. So this would be my one argument against putting homes.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the Arts and Business District, this is the main, really in addition to Vaughn's property that he's looking to put Kechi Square in, this is the other significant commercial space to develop, to actually move forward with the economic plan for the Arts and Business District. And I know that we know the reality of what's happening in the economy right now. There's not a lot of people necessarily with businesses looking to get into commercial spaces. However, if we put this in now, they're there, and we lose a significant commercial land space that could potentially be developed over time into a full commercial.
And I see what you're doing. I mean, it's a lot of could potentially.
Right.
I mean, the site's been vacant forever. It's never been developed. It's been marketed for sale for over 5 years. According to the listing agent, they've had zero interest for commercial, only multifamily or other residential uses. So I just don't know if and when that will ever change. But this does have a strong commercial component to it. And, like I said, our first thing before moving any dirt is we're going to be starting the market, trying to pre-lease space there. If we get all kinds of demand, people saying, I'll revise this to do more commercial, I'll be happy to do that. I just don't see how that can be possible anywhere in the near future.
So Kechi is basically all art, in my opinion, because that's everything. Every time you turn around, you see something card related, and that's great. That's wonderful. But that kind of like she said, isn't that the only space that's like basically left in Kechi?
It's left and it's sat there forever with nothing being developed.
Because what's happening, I live on Tomahawk. My dad, he recently passed away, so I moved from College Hill into his home that he's had since 1990. And he specifically got that plot of land to have an acre and then the tree row behind it because, and I didn't realize how amazing and how lucky I am to have that home because I don't hear the just chaos of living in a town like in Wichita and around College Hill where it's, I feel like it's so, I don't know what the word
Wow.
is. It's, yeah.
I moved out this area from College Hill too, and that's, we moved out from College Hill because I wanted to get away from so much traffic.
Yeah, well, I just moved in because the home was left to me, and
Sure.
so I value it so much more than I even anticipated I would. And growing up, there was always a fall fest every year. There was a different vendor things that brought traffic into town, and I haven't seen, I've lived there for a full year now, and there hasn't been, I mean, there was, an amazing fireworks show in my backyard a couple of months ago, it was, but,
There's this crazy little thing called code that kind of put an end to all that for several
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
and it's
It did pull down the Kechi Fair quite a bit, Coach.
Yeah, that was
It hasn't rebounded as much yet, but it's, I think, coming back.
And it's coming back in different ways than it was before. Like
Yeah.
I said,
yeah,
they had fireworks there instead of during the fair.
yeah, has there been a fair at all in the last?
There was a Kechi Fair in June.
This year.
Okay.
In June.
It wasn't as,
It's a rebuild.
it wasn't as big as it was previously. I mean, they didn't have the parade, they didn't have the fireworks that night, or the dance that night. They separated the two, and it's in a rebuilding stage.
But I think, people think, like maybe when that all was written, which I don't know, but I mean,
2015.
back when there was all the little shops and antique shops, I mean, people still say, oh, you look in Kechi, they have all those antique stuff. in
Antique
Boardwalk."
double candies,
I'm like,
yep.
no.
They all left, they were great.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe this was a vision of that, but maybe that ship has sailed.
And I think, it needs to be, the revision needs to be revised a little bit. I mean, but I do think there's no reason it can't pull back. I mean, I was surprised when we started looking to build out this area on how few of the shops there were compared to when I grew up here. I mean, and that's why I'm sticking with trying to do this. I mean, because I spent a lot of time in those antique shops, whether the owners wanted us there or not as kids. I mean, but we ran around there, ate at the Creek House kitchen, and I want to see some of that stuff come back. But you can't build 5 or 8 acres of it, though. I mean, there's a question if there's demand for even what I'm showing here, so.
Has there, I mean, I don't know the time frame that you're working with here or wanting to do everything, but has there been any like revision on that 30-year-old playground equipment and stuff?
There, I have seen, I don't know the reality of a revision revision of the park there. I mean, I know there's controversy on that one too,
And the
so.
car wash
That one has nothing to do with
and
me,
stuff
so.
yet?
It's a lot more than we can afford.
Yeah, it was,
It's a whole, that's another subject.
yeah, it was pretty aggressive.
This seems like a lot as well, but.
This would not be built overnight. Like I said, I do not want to sit there with 15 vacant homes that I'm paying a mortgage on because they're not selling. No, what we're gonna build on both commercial and the residential as the demand dictates. It's much easier to sit there and hold with the holding cost of vacant land than it is the holding cost of vacant houses.
But I think like the houses, as you build 1 or 2, I do think they will come.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take that gamble, at least not
No, I mean, then people will come and
Yeah.
ask you to build their home.
Yeah.
But do we want them?
I don't know.
I think that's the
I
big
would
thing.
so much rather
I
have
know.
this than,
And I've said this a couple times now. I mean, this whole last 5-6 months, it's been a battle. I mean, but both me personally and the community, it's a much better plan than I originally had. I mean, I truly believe that. I mean, it's definitely something I'd be more proud to own and be a part of than what our original plan was. And I think it's a good plan for Kechi too.
Well, but you heard the last time, right?
Mhm.
With lots of people saying, we like it quiet here. That's why we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
We like it small. We don't want to, this is not Andover. This is not
No,
Derry. This is
don't want
not,
to be in, right.
And we're not trying to, we don't want to do that. We want to keep to what Kechi, to the
25 homes is not a huge addition.
plus the 200, plus the
I'm
other
not
300.
doing the 200.
Well,
I mean, so yeah.
we're the ones that live here. We have to figure on, we have to figure that out. We can't just say, hey, you know what? We're gonna let 5 homes be, made over here. We've got to figure out, okay, so who is wanting to build homes, around here. And where should they be? Do we want them in the arts and business district, or do we want them out, right, where homes are?
Mhm.
Well,
So I think that's something that Kechi needs to really think about and talk about.
but then you want to fill that up with commercial property of some sort, that's not quiet.
Yeah, I mean.
I mean, if you did that whole however many acres, that's not quiet.
And what it was platted as currently for the venue was not gonna be quiet
Oh, yeah,
either.
because that-
I was surprised
And
that
over-
passed for a venue.
And over
use.
half
I
that
would
site
not
was gonna be a
necessarily-
parking lot. Over half those 5 buildable acres was a parking lot for the venue.
Mhm.
And a lot of people was, oh, well, that'll be great, it'll be more parking for the park and all that stuff. I wasn't excited about that. But, I mean, to me, like I said, nobody wants their taxes to go up, but if you don't wanna build and let developers build and expand, our taxes are going up, regardless. Everything costs more, and if the city doesn't grow some way, somehow, our taxes are going up.
That's only if they pay
Even more than they
taxes.
already do.
That's only if they pay taxes. If we let all these companies come in here, and give them incentives and give them this and that and the other thing, we
I'm
don't
not
have them
getting
pay for the
incentives for
upgrades to the sewer, we don't have them pay for any specials, then you know what, we're gonna be ending up paying for it.
There's no incentives involved in this.
These kind of businesses wouldn't be eligible for IRBs and those kind of tax abatements.
So around the area, what's the occupancy rate of the houses that have been built over the last few years? Is it, I mean, are we?
When you talk
feel
about,
like there's?
you talking about in Kechi in general, or you talking about like patio home developments, or?
You know, Bel Air, Park City, I mean,
You know, I honestly don't know. I mean, because I'm not a residential expert. I'm a multifamily and commercial expert. I mean, going from multifamily to patio homes to me is not a huge leap. I would have residential agents involved that would take care of it for me. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, just looking at home sales reports, availability and how much is on the market really varies a lot. I mean, the nice thing about a city like Wichita, an area like Wichita, is that we don't fluctuate a lot. We don't have big highs and big lows. I mean, compared to what you see in larger markets.
Well, and didn't we have city council members that wanted to buy homes here, that there were no homes to be had?
I don't know.
Well, I think that was the
A
case.
city council member has to live here.
A council member?
Yes, an employee does not have to.
Oh, then it was an employee,
Yeah.
employees.
Well, and the thing I like about the patio home development too, I mean, it very well may be age restricted 55 plus. It's just not something we investigate. Regardless, that's what is attracted to a patio home development. I mean, usually a family with a 20, 30-year-old parents, I mean, they're not wanting to pay an HOA to take care of their lawn and pay for that and stuff.
And then one yard, a backyard.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so just the type of house, the size of the house, I mean, because you are paying extra into an HOA for that to be taken care of you. Most 20, 30, 40-year-olds, I'll mow my own yard. I mean, I want a larger yard for my kid to play. So, I mean, well, my point was that, with the community demographic around here, I mean, I've had a number of people say to me, like, even when we're looking at on the duplex multifamily side, like, yeah, I would love to sell my larger home that I just don't need anymore, but stay in Kechi, but there are no different options.
So I have a question. One of the big issues that came up last time was a concern about additional traffic along the sidewalk because people walk on the sidewalk, because the Oliver sidewalk on the inside of the street, who knows when it might get put in. Are you going to put in sidewalks through this community so that like people could actually walk through the neighborhood to go behind the commercial so they could stay out of the traffic pattern?
Don't know. When it comes to the residential side of that, I don't know if there would be plans for that or not. There obviously would be in the front of the commercial, the sidewalks in front of the commercial buildings,
Right.
and over to the art park.
Yeah. But I mean, the complaint has been, increased cars coming and going through the driveways. Just wondering if there was a sidewalk through that people could walk through the neighborhood and then not be on the
No, I get you. Honestly, I hadn't thought about that, if there would be sidewalk through there or not. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Now, are you gonna do all the utility work and so forth for the whole thing beforehand and the streets and so forth? Or
Yeah.
do it piecemeal as you?
Well, I'm quite sure we would be required, as soon as we started building patio homes, we would have to have that entire street in, because either that or we'd have to have some kind of turnaround there, because you have to have a way to get through the entire development, or you gotta have a way to turn around in there. I mean, I've seen it done before where people put in more of a temporary turnaround instead of the entire street, but chances are we'd need to go through and put the entire infrastructure in at once.
I'm pretty sure the city would require you to do that.
I think so. I mean,
Especially like the water and the gas, it would have to be looped all
yeah,
the way.
yeah, definitely on the utilities, you have to. On the street, you could probably get away with not doing it all at once. I've seen it done before. And same that you have cost savings by doing it all at the same time too, so it'd have to be kind of weighed out. But you can't have it just dead end though either. I mean, the code won't allow that.
And you know, based on the question about the sidewalks, the street width, is there gonna be one of those little, you gotta wait for someone to go around? Or
No, I mean, you would have at least parking available on one side of the street and then room for 2 cars to get through. Not exactly sure. We would, a lot of that we would have to determine through the planning process. On this one particular, we did not want to go through the entire planning process until we got the zoning approved.
Yeah, I mean, I know where I live, I mean, it's 4 cars wide, because there's parking on both sides, which is not used that often. And then, you know, enough room for 2 cars.
Yeah, and there will be codes that dictate how the width of those also. And I'm not familiar with those.
It's in the subdivision regs, but, and the sidewalks go in the road right away. They don't, just like the
yeah.
utilities and.
Sure.
I mean, the street is narrower than the road right away
Yeah.
in all designs.
Is the designated park area similar to the size of you first proposed back in
I
September,
think
August?
this one here would be larger. This one I'm showing right here is larger than I had on my first slide. I switched around some of the buildings. The commercial buildings, short story, I flip-flopped the 6,000 and 8,000 square foot building and made one deeper and less and not long in order to get more parking there.
Is that south, that bottom right-hand corner, what does that say, drainage basement?
Drainage easement.
Easement.
That's platted in there now. Basically, that's platted in there now for a retention pond. Basically, anytime you do something like this, you have to have a drainage plan to where all the water off the asphalt and roof where it's going to go.
So, with this development, there is some issues of the amount of light pollution we already have from Jumpstart, because it's like so heavily lighted, like all night long. So, what is your plan on the Oliver frontage of lighting? Is it gonna end up adding a lot of light pollution? Again, to
Haven't dug into that, but I mean, I don't see any reason why we would overdo it. I mean, I don't foresee that being a commercial development that has a lot of night traffic.
Well, and to your point, what about the people that back up to Jumpstart and they got all that lighting?
yeah, I know. Well, we do. I mean, both sides of the Jumpstart get a lot of light pollution because it's intensive lighting.
I wouldn't expect there to be any reason to go that intense on a development like this.
Most of that's from their gas canopy,
Yes, it is.
because most of the lighting on the building is downward.
Mhm.
Except behind their buildings, it's very bright behind our buildings.
Really?
So,
I guess that's why there's safety issues.
yes.
But once again, I don't expect I mean, with the exception of maybe a restaurant, I don't think you're gonna have anything that's gonna be operating too late here. That'd be my guess.
sounds like there's a whole lot of research that still has to be done.
There's
Always.
these are always processes. There's a lot of times we're working on these, we're researching, figuring out, making changes until the day you're done. And sometimes afterwards, actually always afterwards.
So behind the commercial spaces, where there's like the void spaces between the commercial buildings, the road or the houses, is that all gonna be additional green space behind?
That's my intent, yeah. I mean, engineers will have to tell me a little differently, I'm sure, or tell me exactly. But that's what they really learn about the architect. The architecture will get more of the creative side, and the engineers will go through them and they'll get the details in there for you.
As long as it's not artificial turf.
Cool.
Please.
Good.
Oh, that's so pretty down there.
Oh, yeah, right.
The other thing you're gonna have is like on my place over there is, you're not gonna be able to have a bar, a restaurant that sells liquor with residential that close.
And I don't have an issue with that. I mean, I'm not sure about the ordinances, but I don't have an issue with that, yeah.
Yeah, well, the people putting in restaurants and so forth will.
Absolutely. No, that's definitely a good thing. I mean, good thing to keep in mind. Yeah, I mean, I get the point, because even if C3 zoning allows it, doesn't mean, you know, I mean, you may not be able to get your liquor license for that, yeah.
Yeah. What is it, 300 feet, 200 feet?
But I think they can ask them for a conditional use for it. It's not outright allowed.
There's pretty much
Within
some
250
form
feet of
variance
residential.
on, but yeah.
I mean, that's what happened with the tap house, was conditional use.
Yeah.
But it was kind of post. It was a mess.
Was it oopsie?
Yeah.
It was my mess.
Yes, it was.
Any other questions? Anything else?
Thought about, we were talking about lighting, but, continuing the historic street lights like on 53rd down this direction.
There's some out by City Hall here too.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I'm not familiar with them, but absolutely, I am, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the park too, the
Like what's in
lanterns.
the park,
Okay.
lanterns.
And
No, yeah, actually, I would want to, yeah.
We repair them with duct tape.
That's fine, yeah, we all repair some of that. No, I wasn't familiar with those, but, I would want to.
I think one of the other arguments last time was people didn't like the quality of, say, like 29th and Oliver.
Sure.
Obviously, these are going to be homes for sale.
Yep.
So they're gonna be a higher quality. But then are you also going to balance not out pricing? Because Kechi kind of has a ceiling. of
Yeah, we're
prices.
gonna have to do balancing there, yes, absolutely. I mean, we've built a handful, we have no project that's the same. I mean, we have 8 projects, and it's hard to say any of them are similar. I mean, we have a apartment complex under construction up next to the Alley and Warren Theater. Those are high-end construction because of, that's your young professional type of thing over there. And, you know, when we're looking to build duplexes, you build a little lower quality. I mean, it's actually interesting. I live on 53rd, just east of Oliver over there. There's two duplex developments over there. I see a huge difference just between those two developments. I mean, and I know the developers on them, and I'm not surprised I see the difference. And if we're selling these things and you're going to sell them, you have to build higher quality. So, I mean, yeah. So our projects vary based on what we're building and who we're building it for.
Okay.
But I really do not want to be above that 300 mark either on sales price. It just feels too high to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a balance.
And do you kind of have an idea of like what you think your HOA fees are going to end up being? Because I think I've talked to some people who are older here, and
Yeah.
they look to buy patio homes, and they're like, well, we could buy the patio home, and then we can't afford the HOA.
You know, we haven't, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I have done research into what other ones charge. And I don't remember what it was. I mean, since we're used to managing multifamily commercial property, we would start off operating the HOA and then sooner or later move off of us. So we're gonna do our best. We're gonna be keeping that cost down.
So you don't have a clubhouse, you don't have a pool, you don't have a golf course or anything like that, so I would think your HAA.
It should be at the
Fairly
lower
low.
end compared to some of those other
Lower end,
ones. I mean, and this is because of my experience in multifamily too. I mean, a lot of times you build those pools, those clubhouses, because people look at them, they like them, they all use it all the time, and then they never
Then
use
they
the damn
don't,
things. I mean, so, I mean, it varies development by development, but I mean, it's becoming even more common, more amenities now in apartments. I mean, it's almost getting ridiculous. Yeah, those drive up your expenses a lot. I mean, but on something like this, there's no reason, in my opinion, to build a bunch of amenities.
I assume there'll be specials on it.
No.
No, there'll be no specials.
No, I mean, I don't plan to. We've never done specials on development. I'm not a huge fan of specials personally. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just when you put specials on there and you know have the county involved with putting in the infrastructure, the streets, the roads, everything government does cost more. I mean, this, to me, the cost savings of the lower cost bonds is really not worth it.
So I have a question, your north line there, which is adjacent to the car wash, are you gonna do something to buffer between the houses and the car wash?
We'd have to do fencing back there or something, yeah. Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's what I'm thought about. I mean, I'm not sure if we do wire and
I
fence
would buy a
around
house
them.
that was next to a car wash.
No, there would have to be some form of barrier there. I know even when we're planning the multifamily, we plan on some form of barrier there. So, don't know details of what yet, but yeah, you need to.
Now, what's the distance, do you know what the distance is between the back of the lot and the car wash?
The back of our lot and the car lot, oh, right there, no, I don't. Not far. Let's put it
It's
that way.
not far, because
Yeah.
there's no lot.
Yeah, but, I mean, that doesn't mean that, we'd be building all the way back to that.
Right.
But the actual lot lines to the car wash, that is, yeah.
It'd be pretty tight.
Maybe
50
somebody could
feet,
buy the
maybe.
car wash
What?
and trash it.
What's that? I actually thought about, at one time when we were looking to do multifamily, you buy the car wash and you had free car wash for the multifamily things. I've actually seen it done in
I
apartments
mean,
before.
buy
So.
it and try and.
In all honesty, we did another thing, well, maybe we wouldn't want to buy it just to
Just needs to be
control it.
maintained.
Yeah, maintain it, yeah.
No, I front of it's for sale.
I looked at it before, it was ridiculous,
Hmm?
I looked at it before and it was ridiculous, I don't remember what it was, but.
A 9-hole golf course would fit just perfect.
In that. car
Yeah, I don't know
wash.
if you fit 9 holes
No,
on
no,
there.
in the
Oh,
park,
yeah.
park and
Good mini golf.
Yeah.
frisbee golf.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea where you want to start building, north end, south end?
I've no. My initial thought was north end, and then for some reason I moved my thought process to move to south end. So actually, no, I don't.
In the area out front of the two end rows of houses is kind of another little green space.
Yes, it'd be like between you talking like between the houses and the commercial here, or you talking about this up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's green space. I mean,
Also down.
initially my architect had 2 more lots. One here and one there. I didn't want them up that close. I want green space buffer there. That, I mean, just the, kind of the thought process. I can't see where my cursor's at here. I don't know what I did. There we go. I want to try to separate the residential commercial somewhat, at least appearance wise, and so that lines up well where these start. To help some separation there. So technically, you could put 2 more lots there. I don't want to though.
What is the dotted lines going up through the parking?
Building setback line. I think about their phone.
do you have a target hopeful start on the horizon?
I really don't, just because we have to go through plating and everything first. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised plating and engineering takes 6 months, so. Now I'd say ideally this year, or this coming year, but,
Break ground sometime in 2024.
yeah.
So, and I missed it. Did you say you have an area where you're planning to start building?
No, that was a question.
Oh,
No, we
okay.
really
Okay.
don't. And, you know, well, my gut tells me too, the first people interested are gonna wanna pick which lots they want too. My gut tells me that's the ones back. It's gonna be the back lots back here, I'm back in the reserve.
Definitely.
So we're gonna start to build, I guess, I don't know. Well, I appreciate everyone's time, input, questions. Everyone, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, if there's anything else that comes up or whatever, I mean, obviously, Facebook's the easiest way to do that, so. Happy to answer anything else, so.
So you're going to the commission in January?
January 9th, I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Planning.
Planning.
Excuse me, the planning
Planning,
council.
yeah, and then,
planning commission has to first make a decision before it goes to council.
that's early, or that's late January.